I'm very good at these. Welcome to Unwind Podcast. We're your hosts,
Maritza
and Melinda.
So this month has been very emotional. I feel like it's been up and down with so many things of being like awareness. So we're actually ending the month with one final, awareness. Yes. That I don't think many people know that there were so many things in October, right?
Yeah, there is a lot. And there's more. We have not covered everything, okay?
Yeah, so actually it is awareness for domestic violence.
It's a play on our red flags
Yes,
as well.
yes. And, believe it or not, domestic violence doesn't just happen to women. It happens to men as well.
Should I throw in my facts there?
Yeah, go ahead with the one. Go.
All right. So, domestic violence affects millions of people in the United States each year. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men have experienced contact, sexual violence, physical violence, or stalking by an intimate partner in their lifetime with a negative impact, such as injury, fear, concern, safety, and needing services.
Yeah. So men tend to stay quiet about this, right? Because it's their pride, it's their ego. They won't say anything. But I do know a man who did have a marriage that he was abused, kept quiet the entire time, and this woman would actually hurt herself to make it seem like he was abusing her, to the point that I remember...
level.
It is another level, but it's out there, right? Like the woman cut her wrist, and the guy would lie and say, "Oh, it was carving pumpkins," and we're like, I don't know how that happens, because the pumpkin's straight, and the lady almost ended his career because she beat herself and then called the police and try to make it where he was the one doing that to her. But yet the guy had all this literally scratches on his face and all these things that thankfully, right, the police kind of were like, it doesn't match up, you know? But it did almost end his career. I mean, it happens, and he kept quiet.
I've seen
and he really and he really did keep quiet because it was a shame, right? I'm a guy, this shouldn't be happening to me. He tried to make her go to therapy. He tried to calm her down. She threw lit candles at him, which is insane to me. And this is someone that I really cared about so much. I wanted to literally beat the person up, but they told me no. So violence is not the answer, guys.
No, it isn't.
So I was told. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But
but you want to.
Yes, because you're so upset. You look at somebody and you don't know, right? Because they hide it so well, and then it leads to my story that I've never really shared, I think.
Oh, wow.
So being in the military, right? You're strong. You're trained to fight. You're a strong person. But I actually had 2 instances dating another military person.
Oh my gosh.
I will start with the first one. I was dating this guy. And, not serious. It was just dating. He did know, my family, but not really. It was just, for phone calls, never really came to the house. And at the time, I was working a part-time job as well to get extra cash. So I was working, a security job. And he would constantly call me and, where are you? What are you doing? This and that. And, for me, that's annoying. I already told you where I'm going to be, so I don't have to respond again. Right? But I'll tell you once, I'm like, hey, I'm going to be here. I'm working. And while I was working, my phone nonstop, calls, messages, texts, all this. And I just would ignore because I'm like, I am working. I'm not going to answer. I'm just not. And then it became almost threatening text messages.
Wow.
Well, if you don't answer, then I'm going to kill myself. Okay, I'm sorry for you, but I wasn't going to answer. So the security really worked. It was a 24-hour kind of a thing, and this was now during the holidays. So it was literally, I think it was right before Christmas Eve, give or take. I was going to go from there like to my house, change, and then go to my parents in Jersey. So I was like actually in upstate New York, about maybe like 2 hours away from my parents. My shift ends and I am walking to my car, and all of a sudden I get grabbed, thrown up against my car, and I worked the security in a place that was like a warehouse kind of a thing. Okay. So not really many people there. It was pretty much like the security people, and that was it, right?
Okay.
So he's holding me up against the car, and I just remember I need him. And you guys know where I need him. You guys know where it hurts. And I remember like he crouched down and I then need him in his head. So I went to run away and he just pushed me so hard that my hands like scratched all up. My uniform ripped open, so my knees were cut up. And I just remember him trying to grapple on top of me. And thank God for my military training, I was able to get out of the hold. I kind of, with my palm of my hand, smacked him straight into the nose, so I made his nose bleed. And then I remember just running for my life into one of a trailer. So like in the place, it had different trailers like for the bosses. I just remember going in there, I locked the trailer up, I pushed the desk up against the door, and then I called 911. Mm-hmm. And then I explained like, hey, this is going on to me. So they came, they showed up, they asked me where I was, the cops showed up, they arrested him. They came in and they asked me, like, did you know that this is domestic violence? And I just kind of was like, well, I don't, like, he never did this before. And then they started asking me questions like, well, you know, there's signs. Like, was he constantly trying to find out where you were? Like, was he constantly, like, monitoring or making sure you were in the locations that you said? And I was kind of like, oh, well, you know what? Like, yeah. And they were like, those are signs.
Okay.
You know, those are signs that someone is controlling, they're a narcissist. It leads to the domestic violence because then all of a sudden in their mind, like you become their property.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just, it's a scary situation. And I just remember like it was Christmas Eve that day because remember I said I was working the day before.
Yeah.
And, I just remember driving home like in shock. Like I didn't even change. Like I had my hands still scratched up.
Yeah.
There was blood on my knees and I like drive to my mom's house. And it was just like in awe, right? Because you don't think that this is going to happen. But I will say, thanks to my training, I was able to defend myself.
Yeah. And not everybody has that training.
Exactly.
So you're going to say the facts like to look for, but before she does that, I just want to say what is domestic violence because obviously she didn't know that this was domestic violence. So I'm going to say, which is more of a general of what is domestic violence. And I think this is basically a lot of us do know this part. Yeah. But she's then going to go into the signs.
Yeah.
So domestic violence is physical abuse, hitting, slapping, punching, shoving, kicking, you know, all of that. Mm-hmm. Then there's sexual abuse, forcing a partner to engage in unwanted acts. Mm-hmm. Then there's emotional abuse, the name calling, the putting down, denying, shifting blame.
So before you go on, what you're saying is the putting down, right? And I just want to be clear on that because it doesn't have to be so vulgar. It's also just making you feel less than who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Like putting down your makeup, your hair, your clothes, like
tearing you apart.
Yeah.
And that is strategy. Mm-hmm. So that it's a control thing so that you give up the reins. Mm-hmm. So that is the start. Some of these can be the starting point and it can start very light. Obviously, as Maritza, you know, the first thing she didn't notice, right? Because she was like, well, you know, he was just somebody I was talking to at the moment. So I thought that was his, you know, demeanor maybe. And they're getting to know each other. So these are signs, guys.
And I will say from my story, right? Like, I didn't expect him to pop up at my job.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you guys heard, like, I was ignoring the messages. And when he said that he was going to kill himself, I'm going to be honest, I was kind of like, oh, well, like, that's you're like, tú estás loco. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. So I didn't expect that. You know what I'm saying? Like, for that to happen. So it's always like, just be careful, guys. Go ahead, carry on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. So that's, the stalking, technology tracking people.
That's a big one now.
Yeah. So then there's also another one that you may not even think about, the economic abuse. Stealing and destroying belongings, money.
Yeah.
Preventing a partner from getting to keeping a job, right? Because they need you to do something now and you need to stop everything, so then you can't keep a job, not letting the partner know about having access to family income, controlling them with money.
Yeah.
Like, those situations where stay-at-home moms as well.
Yes.
Men can control, and vice versa, right? Because they're they're stay-at-home dads now too.
Yeah.
And so people use money to control the relationship. This is not always...
No, but it's true,
it's
because
common.
I have seen people do that where they're a stay-at-home parent and the one making the money does say like, well,
why make the money?
Exactly. And it's a power thing.
It's a power, when someone, shows you that, just be wary.
That's a red flag.
That's a red flag. Yes. And you can go ahead with...
Yeah, so right now, right, these are little signs, cues for you to kind of think about their questions, right? So does your partner ever hit, kick, shove, or injure you? Does your partner ever use weapons, objects against you to threaten you to do so? Does your partner ever force or coerce you to engage in unwanted sexual acts? Does your partner threaten to hurt you or others, have you deported, disclose your sexual orientation or other personal information? Does your partner ever control what you do and who you see in a way that interferes with your work, education, or other personal activities? That is a huge one, guys.
Yeah.
Does your partner ever use technology to track, like she said, monitor or frighten you? Does your partner steal or destroy you or your belongings? Does your partner constantly criticize you, call you names, or put you down, makes you feel afraid? Does your partner ever deny your basic needs such as food, housing, clothing, or medical and physical assistance? If you answered yes to any of these questions, please know that there is help available, right? And when we're saying that there's help available, like the first thing to do is obviously tell people that you trust.
Yeah.
Right? Have your close circle of friends, because maybe you're not seeing it, but somebody on the outside might open up your eyes to understanding like, hey, this is not normal behavior.
Yeah.
This sounds a little controlling. And it is hard if you're the person in the relationship.
I feel like sometimes you just ignore it.
Exactly, because you're blinded.
Yeah.
Right? And I think it's a scary situation, because if they're showing you their true colors from the gate, then just imagine what is it gonna lead up to. You understand? And I have another story, guys. This is stuff that I told you, I'm gonna be so transparent with you guys. My family knows these stories, so it's nothing surprising to them, but probably my friends, I don't think I really share with it, right? Because it's something that you're kind of like, I overcame it, I did it, whatever.
It's news to me, guys.
Yeah. I told Melinda, I said, well, you're gonna hear something new today about me.
Because... sorry, before you start that, it's because you have that palante mentality, and she's moving forward. She may talk about it. It's something that's going on in the moment. She may talk about it, or she may not as well. So she's someone that keeps going, and she forgets, and she's her mind is everywhere. So that's just your personality.
It's true. So this one, and again, another military person I was again talking to, not even a full-blown relationship. This one was a little bit scary, not gonna lie to you. And then I'm also gonna share kind of from this one how I felt like the military it was a disappointment at the end. So I was dating this guy, and now this was the time frame where I was actually transitioning almost out of the military, about to go into police work.
Okay.
I think I was maybe a week away or whatever, and I had this uneasiness towards this point. I was trying to end it already, stop talking to the guy, Now they call it ghosting, right?
Oh, yes.
Right, where you just kind of disappear. So I was trying to kind of pull away and like not answer the messages so much. Kind of just saying like, hey, I think we should just be friends. I don't see this going anywhere. So on my end, I was ending it, right?
Yeah.
On his end, it was not, I guess, being received well or whatever he was feeling, that it became, he started stalking me. And he started popping up in places where I was at. And it was like the weirdest thing because there was times that I'm like, how did he even know I was here? Like, I felt like I had a tracking device on me because I would go to games and he'd be in the gym at the other end standing there.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. And I had like guy friends with me and they'd be like, Maritza, like, did you know he was coming? I'm like, I didn't even know he was popping up here. So they would walk me to my car and then they would literally be like, you know what? Like, text me when you get home. Or they would be like, I'm just following you home to make sure you get home. Right?
Oh,
So
actually, that just reminded me of something I totally forgot about.
see? Bringing up memories. So there was a night where I went out and I went out with a couple of friends and I didn't drive that day. They picked me up, right? So they picked me up at my apartment. We went out, we had a good time, and I just got this uneasy like feeling inside of me, right? And I was already in the police academy. Okay, so I was already in like full blown like in the academy. And one of the guys like drove me home and I literally look at him and I said, I'm gonna need you to do like a loop around my block before I get out the car. And he's like, what? I'm like, just do a loop, right? So we do a loop around the block. And where I lived was like, it was a house, but I was like an apartment in the house. And there was like a lot of trees. Okay. We did the loop and turned around and I saw a car in like the tree area and it had a Marine Corps sticker. Oof. So I literally tell him, no, I'm not going in. Like, drive down a block. I said, I'm the only Marine in this block. Like, I knew that. Yeah. I was like, that's not his car, but I'm the only Marine on the block. So I said, we're going to have to call the PD right now. And so he's like, all right. So we literally call the cops. The cops show up. They pull up to where we're at. And I was like, listen, like, I'm a cadet right now in the police academy. I was like, I think this guy is around. I was like, here's my keys. You guys can go in the apartment. I was like, I just feel like he's here. Yeah. Right? So they go in the apartment. They go around. They check whatever. And they're like, no, first, before I gave the keys, I told them to check. They checked the outside surroundings. They said, we can't find him. So that's when I gave them the key. I said, listen, you have my authority. You can go in my house. They go inside. They find him under my bed. Under my bed, people. And he had a box cutter. Okay? So I was like, Lord, I wasn't Christian at this time, but I knew God had my back because I was like, I felt it.
Oh my gosh, and you guys should have seen my face.
Yes.
Like, I was not expecting that.
Legit. Like,
oh my gosh.
The cops took him into custody. They searched him. He had a box cutter in his like thing. And of course me, I went into the scary movie. I said, what if I went in? Either he was going to try to kill me or cut my Achilles tendon. Like when I was going to go to bed. I don't know what was going to happen. But I mean, like.
That is so scary. Maritza.
Yeah. I mean, needless to say, I moved right away. Like after I told my landlords, I'm like, I'm out. But it became a big thing. Like they took him to the precinct. I had to go to the precinct. I had to like, pretty much tell like my story of what happened. And then the military, like police came, they took him into custody. And since I was still in transition, I just remember they literally looked at me and said, this is the second time you had an incident. Oh. And I was like, okay.
Your point?
Exactly. I was like, okay. They were like, are you sure it's not you? I said, no, it's not me. Are
so
you
someone
kidding?
Under my bed with a box knife.
Thank you.
It's me, my fault?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, are you kidding me?
So this is the problem also with domestic violence, right? Because then men and women, they blame themselves. And no, it's not your fault.
Nope.
Let's be clear. These are signs that, someone is not okay. That is horrible, Maritza.
Yeah, and not to top that off, right? So instead of them changing his career, they changed mine. Because they knew I was in the, like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just insane to me what took place. And I was like, this is why women stay quiet. Because they try to make you feel like you're the problem, Like, you're the one that did this. I just remember I was so pissed off, and I just remembered, like, I was like, you know what? I was like, if something would happen to me that night, like, let's say I didn't have that feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I walked in my house, then what? So then what are you going to be telling my parents? You know what I mean? Like, that's the stuff that goes through my mind, that I'm like, I can't believe, like, you guys had the nerve to try to think it was me.
Yeah.
When the police went in my house, found the person under my bed with a box cutter.
It's your fault.
Yeah. Like, this is the stuff that's upsetting, because I feel like so many people stay quiet because they're afraid of what everybody else is going to think. I'll tell you right now, I didn't care that they thought whatever they thought.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I have my path. I have my career. I know what I'm trying to, like, go for. Yeah. And then I became very wary of people.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, who wouldn't?
You know, like, I was just kind of like, oh, like, I was the person that if you were then trying to date me, I was like, no, I'm going to drive. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was like,
mean, if you're meeting somebody, just drive to the location.
Yeah, drive. And always meet in, like, an open area.
Yeah.
Like, never do, like, you know, I know people do, like, all the matching online. Don't meet up, like, you know, in a quiet spot where there's nobody. Meet up where it's an open location, where there's a lot of people that, you know.
Or do, like, a group outing at first.
And let someone know where you are. Like, just let your friend know, and then tell them, like, hey, in 30 minutes, call me. And, you know, we'll have a code, like, if I want to leave, like, I got to go, whatever, but I have a code, too, if I want to stay. Like, you know?
Of course. Always do that. I tell my mom, you know, she's a single woman who lives on her own. I always tell her, you know, let me know what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know,
you never know.
What happens.
Listen, I know, like, today I shared Melinda's face really was. She was like, what? But, like, I see it as God's hand on my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, like, you really do have to be in tune. Like, when you feel something's off, let me tell you, something's off. Like, follow that feeling. Don't brush it off. Like, understand that it's giving you that feeling for a reason.
Yeah.
And you need to listen to it.
Yeah.
Because I did, and thank God I did. Like...
So, this is a quick story.
Oh,
the one that you reminded me of. It was somebody that I was talking to. Just met him through, I think I met him through a friend, one of my good friends. And the guy was, I mentioned one day I wanted to do something to my, like, decorate my bedroom. And the next day, my bedroom was exactly how I wanted it to be done. Okay, very nice. So then I had just broken up from a serious relationship not too long. So he found letters from this person or me to that person, whatever, and brought it up. And I was like, well, you obviously know that I was in a relationship and you should not be looking through my things. We are not there. We're not in a relationship. Yeah. Thank you for doing my room. But you and I, this cannot be. This is overstepping boundaries. Mm-hmm. And it was like I cut it loose right then and there. Like, I'm telling you, not even a month into, it was red flag. Like, I was like...
So he made your room thinking that he was going to buy you.
Yeah, but it was like rose petals going up. Mind you, yo también todavía era una niña. Yeah. Let's just put it that way, right? Yeah. So I'm like, I'm not... married to this person, like, it's weird. Like, if my husband did that, yes, you know, baby, I would love that, you know.
Hint, one word. Rose petals.
I know. I mean, but it was very weird. It was off. I did not feel comfortable. We obviously, like, ended it there. Then he got so, like, hurt or whatever. And this man, I get a call from my job. He was there waiting for me.
See, that's the psycho stuff.
And he was inside the restaurant waiting for me. Yes. I said, well, I'm not going in. Yeah. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah. He wants to just see you. He said he's going to give you your ring back. I had a ring with my name.
Good. Leave it with the manager.
I was just like, no, I never got the ring back.
Oh no, I would have just been like, leave it with the manager. That's okay.
I never got the ring back. Never got the ring back. He did not give it to my friend. I asked him just to give it to my friend. He's like, no. He wants to see you, so he's waiting here for you. And I was just like, nope, I'm not going in.
See?
Yeah, so I cut that loose ASAP. Not saying that this person was a bad person. It was just, era intenso.
That's but it's also scary, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you don't tell people where you're going to be and they pop up, that's a little like,
Yeah.
I don't know, that's a huge red flag to me, because I'm like, how'd you find me? That's like, how'd you know I was going to be there? That's like scary.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah. I always tell my girls, right, like my oldest, like, and she's smart about it, right? She was talking to somebody and he constantly was like on her, like, what are you doing? Why are you not answering? Da da da. And she was like, bro, like, let me breathe. And I was like, yes, mama, that's right. Tell him. Like, she was like, she's like, he's trying to smother me and I don't need that. Like, and I was like, you're right. You don't need that. I'm like, if somebody's trying to find out where you are 24/7 at this age, no.
Absolutely
like, not. Any age, first of all. Any age. Like, there's a way to be concerned about people.
Yep.
Right? But not like tracking them to the point like, oh, I know you just parked your car in the parking lot. Like, no, that's like a little much. You know what I mean?
It's funny because my husband, I share locations with my sister-in-law and my nieces, and not with my husband.
Oh, me
funny
either.
enough.
Me neither.
Yeah, we did talk about that. But I share locations with my best friend. I know where my mom is. The other night she went out, and then in the morning I checked her location just to kind of and I'm like, what the hell is she doing home? Like, so then we talked. She's like, no, I drove home at 4:00 in the morning. And I go, y tú no me dijiste nada. You didn't call me. Like, something can happen. And my husband goes, you know, that's really creepy. I don't like that you do that. And I was just like, they do it to me, and I'm not like sitting there checking their location every time. I'm like,
it's just when you know that they're out and about, like, you want to make sure they're okay.
Or when I need them for something, I want to see what area they're in before I call them and ask them for a favor. You know, I'll be like, all right, let me see if she's at work, because then if she's at work, like for example, my nieces, then she can't take care of my daughter. You know, like, so it's convenient in that way, right? I'm not gonna call and bother her at work. But he's like, that's really creepy that you do that. And
it's so funny. Like, I don't do it with my husband either, right? Because I feel like, not for nothing, but I do feel like he would be like, where are you at? Where are you at? Like, and I'm like, I don't need that. Like, look, I'll call you and be like, I'm
do it
here.
for safety reason. I mean, your husband's profession.
That's his profession. I mean, hello. He goes extreme sometimes, and I'm like, listen.
I think it's your military and police, background, and But guys, you know, we want to keep it light, but in the same token, we also want you guys to,
if you are going through something that we shared today, please take it serious. Like, understand, like, my story ended on a good note, right? But again, I had my training. I followed my instinct, right? For those that don't have training, I do highly recommend taking a self-defense course.
I would love to.
It is actually very useful. There's ways and techniques to get out of holds. Like, you know, quick one, ladies, if you're on the ground and someone's above you, like they're straddling your body and they're trying to choke you, all you have to do is cross your arms.
Oh, no?
Cross your arms, and if they're like on you, you literally hit them on their forearms, which is going to cause their arms to bend forward. They're going to lean forward. They'll lose their strength, and you can push them and get away.
Yeah.
So that's like a big one. That's a huge one, right?
So I just also want to say that this is very common in multiracial, 50% among multiracial women, 48% among American Indian, Alaskan, Native women, 45 among non-Hispanic, 30 non-Hispanic Black women, 37 among non-Hispanic white women, 34% among Hispanic women, and 18% among Asian Pacific Islander women. So, you know, these rates are really high, you know, for our Hispanic community and our, you know, Black women as well. So just be wary of, you know, all women in general. I'm just speaking because we're obviously Hispanic. and we're in the Latin community. It's high,
Yeah.
and they were lower than multiracial. So we just want you to be wary, and you're gonna share the number.
Yeah, there is a actual program called National Resource Center on Domestic Violence. They have a number. It's called the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Very simple. It is 1-800-799-SAFE. The word SAFE, SAFE, and those numbers are 7233. You can also text "Love Is" to the number 22522. That is "Love Is Respect," and you have a secure online chat, all right, with them. Their website is loveisrespect.org. These are some of the pamphlets that we have if you're watching on YouTube for you guys to see.
I think we've shared another number too, that they erase all tracks of this, so that if you are being abused, your partner can't find that the message is erased or something like that. I read back when we did red flags.
Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things that we just want you guys to be very attentive to. Watch your surroundings. Like if you feel like somebody's following you, I always recommend, if you're driving home late at night, change your route. Like don't take the same route every night. If you're working like a late shift or something like that, change it. If you see a car like kind of behind you for a while, like make a random left turn. They don't make the left turn, great. Then you could do your turn and go back the same route.
Yeah.
But try not to do the same repetitive route, because that also, if people are following you or stalking you, you're showing them your routine. So try to change your routine up.
Yeah, guys.
Yes.
Well, I hope you have been informed with this episode. We love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for being with us on another episode. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Thank you, guys.